of Edward as well. Edward had a really lackluster game versus Gambit, and I wouldn't say lightning strikes twice all that often.
Attack is down straight away though, as long with Snappy. Yugi's here with his USP, but he's not going to do too much, and it's going to be way too long on the rotation from Heroic to get anything out of this. You have to feel the bomb's still way back at T-spawn though, in fairness. So, I mean, Simple won't be getting that plant anytime soon. Could allow Heroic to go for a rotation, but in the meanwhile, Na'Vi seem to have an eye towards the A site anyway.
This is pretty following the same trend as they did versus Gambit. Destroy the B-bomb site, move over towards A. This time it's going to be an open site for them to run into. And obviously, Edward getting off to a much better start in this game than pretty much what he had throughout the entirety of the Gambit series. 3 frags to his name already, in prime position to get some more. Oh, I had to jinx him.
Bit rough.
Bit of a rough start. Modi does pick up the frag. Still a long ways to go, though. They do have Diffuse Kit onto Nico, but no utility really to close out any of these crossfire angles. Zeus with a bit of an optimistic mouse wheel jump there.
Would have been pretty disgusting had he have landed it, but there's Simple. 65 frags, nearly 100 ADR. And we went long into the night, and that's no small feat. He did a fantastic job yesterday, and you're expecting more of the same today.
Yeah. And we're getting off to a hot start. That's a solid sign for Na'Vi. Just basically clearing up that entire B-bomb site with no issues whatsoever. And for Heroic, obviously can't get off to a way too bad start. Obviously being on the CT side, that is detrimental to your economy. And we also know that one of their heavy hitters in Yugi likes to go to that op as much as possible. So it's going to be on Heroic to maintain and manage their money in a decent manner.
Yeah, Mac 10s, AKs. Heroic only with Snappy with Kevlar. No nades, whatever to speak of. So, when you're expecting Na'Vi to just slowly tighten the noose around Heroic and pretty much just grind to a victory in this round.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see whether or not we're seeing any sort of evolution in Na'Vi's play from yesterday as well. They were very, very slow for the better part of the T sides, and to be fair, it did work out pretty nicely as well. But we did see that they ran into issues when they couldn't get early openings. So if they've rectified that for today, remains to be seen, but so far so good. And always, you know, having a safe approach in anti-eco, using your utility, it's always the way to go.
He is going to get the kill to Zeus. Norm pre-firing that spot, and he's able to dart away afterwards, but the rest of the site has been demolished, and that's going to be Esitag, who's all by himself, actually, as you left him out to dry. 1 for 1, not terrible for Heroic, but you'd expect at this point that the hammer will come down. Snappy's picked up one as well, though, and a second, and Nico comes in for a frag. So in the blink of an eye, this round is already maybe too far gone for Na'Vi. It's all on Flamey. And Snappy had a very candid interview saying that he was mainly responsible for the issues they had on Inferno, so it's good to see him come out swinging already.
He's actually one of the in-game leaders who does show up more often in terms of fragging. So good to see him getting off to a good start, and obviously not the round you wanted if you're Na'Vi. Flamey seems to have given up completely, just going to hold on to his AK going into the next round. Well, Heroic get right back into it, and that was, you know, I was about to say, you know, Na'Vi do a solid, have a solid approach to the B-bombs and using their utility and whatnot, but very half-hearted commitment onto the actual bombs. That you see Zeus being the only one crossing over while the smoke's still down. That leaves him as a sole target for Yugi. Picks up the first frag and kind of destabilize everything, and then they never even attempt to get a bomb plant down. Even though they have main smoked off, nobody's really keeping an eye on Ruins. Just sloppy play out of Navi's side.
Do have the arsenal of weaponry to bounce straight back, though, and it's important for Heroic that they don't let this slip. Our economy is still in a very sketchy position.
Well, and we did see that they were actually punished in a round like this when we saw Simple on Overpass actually pick up that AK, just being surrounded by pistols, and that was enough for Na'Vi to get going and get off to a great start. Well, definitely in the back of the minds of the Danes. Right now, though, I'm do liking the approach from Heroic, though, not just showing anything, not willing to take duels, making Na'Vi kind of have to walk into their crossfires.
And there's a Mac 10 up close. This can do serious damage. There's one fragging out from the side. There's another Mac 10. It's going to be Modi with 2. Nice work from Heroic, but that being said, Na'Vi still have an AK in the hands of Electronic, and Edward alongside him is healthy. So this round isn't done just yet. Still plenty of time to work with as well, especially considering that it would effectively be a 2-on-1. Nico's on A by himself. They've rotated away S-Attack towards the B site, but Nico doesn't need any backup. He's a one-man army. 2 frags and the round secured for Heroic.
Wow. A bit of a sketchy position that Nico finds himself there as Navi tries to enter out. Pretty much stands in no man's land, doesn't have any real cover, so if he doesn't sink that first shot with his spray onto Edward, then he could very easily give up a kill, and all of a sudden Navi have not necessarily the man advantage, but you can still do a lot in a 1v2 situation if you get into a decent afterplant position.
Electronic not far off, getting straight up blown to pieces.
Navi obviously with minimal investment into this round. Simple with the Deagle, and Zeus with the P250, but that's pretty much all there is. More of an aggressive approach from Heroic at the same time as well. Trying to force the issue in Banana. I don't really think it's necessary in a round like this, and obviously they do know that Navi are on an eco. It's still, even though Navi doesn't really have a lot to play with, they're still sticking true to their mantra of playing slowly here.
Yeah, probably just saying to Simple, see if you can get picks. If you can, we'll try and take weapons away from Heroic and use it against them. But as you say, I mean, apart from that Deagle, just a P250, that is as bare bones you could ask for. And the MP9 is starting to take away quite a lot of the health from Na'Vi, and 2 frags as well. That's money in the bank for Snappy. S-Attack's going to pick up 1 as well, and this is just getting under control now for Snappy. He survives on 1 health. That's so much money in his back pocket at this stage.
Heroic's sitting really pretty. So even though they did sustain a couple of losses in the previous round, they rectify that with getting a ton of money on Snappy. So going into the first proper buy round here with all the utility they could wish for. Madi actually opting to go with 2 flashes instead of a Molotov. Something you see every day. Nades go down in mid. Doesn't really do a whole lot of damage. And obviously it's primarily just to deter anyone from getting quick mid control.
To boost up. Just outside a quad. Bit of an off angle. Typically players will check over on the quad side, but if there's no mollies or smokes in play, they can check every single part of that. Plus there's the reason for a wall bang that Edward did a lot yesterday as well. Slightly off though.
And if I'm not mistaken, like the damage reduction through that glass on the inside of CPL is pretty much like nothing.
Yep.
So Madi could very easily go down there.
I think if he'd been further to the left-hand side, it would have actually hit him. It was really, really close. Edward, though, is going to get the entry. Snappy's down and out. Now Muddy. See bullets whizzing past his face. Flashbang is going to deter him from going for a peek for the time being. That smoke is going to stop being an issue in a few moments' time. Now time is starting to work against Na'Vi. If they're going to push, it needs to happen soon. Zeus is taking point, a position we saw Dozier constantly exploit against Na'Vi yesterday as he goes through into the Archer's side. And now the bomb is traversing across to the B side of the map. 2 players here. Vitally important that Na'Vi get one of these entries and they get it soon. If Yugi comes up massive, or S-Tag gets a couple kills, that could just win the round for Heroic, but it's not happening so far. Yugi hasn't got it within him to get more than 1 kill. The bomb will be getting planted, and it's all on Nico. Na'Vi will be picking up this round.
Not a lot Nico can do, and Heroic did get a pretty early tell as to where Na'Vi wanted to end up. With that pop flash into mid, Madi spots out that there's no one really left towards close quad side or back in mid. Also here's a couple of shots being fired off from Arch, so they did have the information they needed to actually set up a pretty decent defense, but Edward does a good job of picking off Madi as he rotates, and obviously as a tag, a bit unfortunate with the timing as it fades, or the smoke in at the entry to the B-bomb site fades. He kind of gets caught between a rock and a hard place, or a rock and 3 Na'Vi players. Na'Vi though, not really showing any interest in hunting after Nico, and that makes sense. Economy's still not in a great place for them, so they'd rather just survive with 4 players. And they probably know that with the money in the bank for Heroic, they're going to be able to buy out no matter what.
The entry from Edward, which started to make things very possible.
That was a bit of a, I would say, communication error on Heroic's side as well, because with Madi dropping down, which is fair enough when he sees the flash coming out from Boiler Room, it's the fact that Snappy just becomes completely isolated below quad roof. So maybe you see Madi not necessarily back off towards the bomb side, but actually help out Snappy in that kind of a situation. They might have a better result, or at least an even trade, instead of giving up mid control completely.
As you mentioned, then they come straight back in with a solid buy, including 2 AWPs. This does put them on not much other than pennies if they were to lose this round, and it hasn't started great. Tank's already down and out now. Yugi's going to go for the peak. He's going to pick up the first frag, and there's nothing that's going to be coming back at him for the time being. He's able to just back away. It was a solo peak by Zeus, and he was punished with his life.
But we've seen that Na'Vi have been perfectly fine with not necessarily having banana control on this map. Happened a lot in the Gambit game as well. Or even if they do get banana control, they still go away from it and end up towards that A-bomb site. And that seems to be what they have in mind as well. Surprising amount of people actually in side halls here. All 4 members. We do have Electronic moving down towards Boiler, but this could also be prime opportunity for Nico to get a lot of damage done.
Different angles though that he has to watch out for. He can't even pick up one. That's not good enough for Heroic. Isolated. They will stand. Modi goes in for the second AWP and he's off. Totally agree with this decision. Heroic will have double AWPs into the next round, even if they can't buy too much behind it. Their economy is in pretty rough shape. A couple players around 2K. So maybe they could drop him. What would you reckon would be the play here then if they do indeed hold onto these AWPs, which is looking very likely? Na'Vi don't look interested in chasing down.
Considering that they have 2 AWPs, I wouldn't be too surprised if we saw Yugi drop off 1 weapon at least. He could drop 1 Colt. Nico buys up for himself, and then Estac probably takes the bullet for his team and goes for the pistol. Snappy might end up or dropping a UMP because he is the secondary AWPer here.
Yeah, I guess when you have 2 AWPs, you've got so much power and potential in the round that you do want to try and support that as much as possible, even if it means that 1 or 2 players are a little bit bare in terms of utility. That's the other problem. If they do drop the likes of M4s, you may see a couple of players with only sort of 1 or maybe even no nades.
Yeah. Remains to be seen whether or not they do it. They actually decided to take a timeout to think things over here.
Fair enough.
So I want to weigh their decision before they fully decide on something, which I can definitely agree with. Seems like Yugi's already bought up that Colt, so we're going to see the force buy coming in. And I agree with this, simply because they do also have the skill within the team to actually play it with not necessarily a full buy, because Yugi is definitely a capable AWPer and capable enough to actually play aggressively. We saw that, obviously, after S-Attack died in Banana, he was able to re-aggress, find that pickup on Zeus, and if he can do something similar, that can destabilize Na'Vi in a big way. And Snappy is definitely a decent AWPer as well, so not necessarily by the same manner of Yugi. He's not necessarily as aggressive, but he can definitely hold his angles. Speaking of aggression, here we go, Yugi. Actually not going to go for the peak immediately through CPL, going to go downstairs here. Ooh, finds Flamey as well. That's a big get. Normally during the defaults of Na'Vi, we've seen Edward and Flamey taking up control over those apps areas. And we don't actually see enough CTs aggress in apps, in my opinion. I don't think we see enough of the aggression coming out on the A-bomb side. It's predominantly towards B.
Yeah, and typically when someone will play aggressively into the apps, and you kind of touched on this yourself, they'll peek up the bedroom window at the top as opposed to going downstairs. I kind of caught them off guard a little bit, although he did get winged in the process. It wasn't a completely clear frag. That being said, though, Na'Vi now back into just an MP7 in the hands of Zeus. And Heroic have more nades than I anticipated, and they still have a couple of incendiaries, a smoke to play with, a couple of kits. Looking pretty healthy.
Not bad at all. And now the question is whether or not they can find any sort of, or get any sort of inkling that Na'Vi are approaching the bomb site, so they don't fiddle around with their nades as Na'Vi is pushing out.
Well, Nico is going to be tried and tested once again. Last time he was in pit, hence the HEs that are flying past him into that position, and a Molotov as well. He's going to drop down alongside the terrace, but the flashbang completely neutralizes him, mitigates his position entirely, and now Zeus's MP7 goes to town. It was a good start for Heroic, but it's starting to go horribly wrong. And again, they just want to save. They just want to keep on to the equipment value they currently possess. Both Snappy and S-Tag will be chilling over at the back of the site. S-Tag boosting up Snappy with the AWPs. They can pick off any Ts that decide to push through the CT. But this is a good comeback from Na'Vi. It was a rough start for them, but they're going to be taking the lead.
Managed to get close enough up to the side. Unfortunate for Nico that the late smoke comes in from Na'Vi to block off balcony as well. Probably didn't expect that. And then when he falls back off balcony, is just kind of an easy target for Simple right there. And I think if he actually stays on top of balcony, he's probably going to go unnoticed. Nonetheless, Heroic managed to hold on to at least one op. Curious to see if whether or not Snappy's going to drop that off to Yugi, and they try for another aggressive play this time around.
Now 3 rounds in a row for the side of Na'Vi. We're trying to put that previous matchup against Gambit last night completely out of their minds. Focus on the task at hand. Again, this is a really important map because Na'Vi already beat Heroic yesterday on Overpass, and they look pretty convincing while doing so. I have to feel it probably would be history repeating itself. But Snappy, with the AWP, is going to be pushed by Simple. Will pick up one, misses out on the second frag, but he's not going to get punished for it. Managed to escape with 67 of his health.
Meanwhile, Nico trying to aggress through abs here. Gets caught out by Edward, and Na'Vi do a pretty good job of this, just having or maintaining map control, even when they are pushing heavily towards one of the bomb sites. Heroic get punished for it. Muddy's still in a pretty aggressive position here. Could pick off Edward. Oh, nice shot, though.
Denied.
And that obviously puts the 2 remaining Danes in a bit of a pickle here. Gonna have to try to hold on to these weapons once more. And this time, the situation is a little bit different. Navi's economy is a lot better than what it's been in the previous round, so they can plant and pretty much disperse from the bomb site and go hunting. You can already see that Edward has an eye on Banana. Probably doesn't want to go in there alone, though.
Especially considering he only has 20 health left. Sombullet, and he's pretty much gone. This time, though, Snappy's in more of an aggressive position, a position you see fall and play a lot of the time. There's a slight gap between the wooden panels and the stone wall of Banana.
Snappy gives away his position right there, so they know he's in Banana. Now it remains to be seen whether or not Navi wants to actually challenge him. Flash is a bit of an indication that they want to do so. And honestly, if you're Navi, I'm surprised. Again, we saw this yesterday as well. They don't really seem to show any interest in actually messing about with Heroic's economy all that much, and they're sitting pretty healthy for themselves. So there's definitely no monetary reasons behind why they wouldn't do it.
I mean, they've got 3 players over $10,000.
Exactly.
And 1 close to 9K. So, yeah, I mean, even if they did lose, say, 2 weapons for the AWP, it would be worth it, you have to feel. After replenishing all their nades, they still look very healthy in terms of their finances. And because Heroic were able to save the FAMAS and the AWP, I mean, they come through into this round with a really solid buy of their own.
Definitely not bad. Once again, we're seeing a similar story, really, for teams playing versus Na'Vi on this map. You're seeing a lot of utility early on in Banana to gain control, but Na'Vi, again, just not really fazed by it at all.
You hate to see the good old team block that skews your nade up.
I think we have one of those in the big game as well on Train. Gabi just getting blocked while he's throwing a smoke, just looks menacingly.
Oh, Yugi just gets plastered through the smoke, and that instantly forces the rotation from Modi coming through from Speedway. And again, Na'Vi did this so many times last night, and we're very good at trying to pick apart the weakened areas that are left vulnerable as a result of the CTs losing the first player.
Yeah. I would say 9 out of 10 times in this kind of a scenario, we would see actually a rotation back towards the A-bomb side, but Modi actually picks up electronic through the smoke. So eye for an eye going so far for both teams, but look at Flamey. Does get spotted out.
That flash wrecked Snappy just as much as Flamey, otherwise he'd be a dead man. Maybe peaked a bit too short. But now Edward from balcony is putting down the law onto the CTs. Nico and Snappy down and out, and with Modi only on 8 health. Again, I mean, I'm getting deja vu at this point. It always seems to be a 4v2 with Heroic saving.
Yeah, it's becoming a bit of a recurring theme. And speaking of themes, Na'Vi just doing pretty much the exact same thing they did versus Gambit as well. And I'm really hoping that Heroic have kind of looked into this and pick up on it rather soon. So instead of seeing, that second rotation coming over towards the B bomb side, actually just sticking with 3 players on A, because Na'Vi have a real tendency of just going towards A, regardless of what happens, no matter where on the map it is. Well, this time they have gone hunting. Modi's still alive though on 8 HP. looks to be surviving as well. Navi did sustain a couple of losses, but nothing really grand in the big picture. So they'll be fine. Simple also holding on to an AWP, and that's pretty much the most expensive investment Navi are going to make all T side. They don't really rock an AWP the entirety of the T half either. We see Simple obviously picking up that AK as well. So Navi feeling pretty good about themselves.
As they should, really. I mean, the 3 rounds that Heroic picked up was straight after the pistol. Obviously, they silenced the second round purchase from Na'Vi and then went on a bit of a tear, but since then it's been all Na'Vi, 5 rounds in a row. And these rifle rounds have consistently been going against Heroic. And it has been a case that we've seen a lot of rifle rounds from them because they've consistently saved, you know, 1, 2, 3 weapons.
Yeah.
So it seems like every single round has had at least sort of 2 or 3 assault rifles and AWP thrown in there. And this will be no different. 4 M4s, UMP, and AWPs. They have every chance of bouncing back, but it is going to be definitely sending alarm bells ringing for Heroic that they've been so unsuccessful when it came to the rifle rounds thus far on the CT side.
It's very true what you mentioned, the fact that they have had a lot of buy rounds in there, but not a lot of success. And Yugi's going to find Zeus through the smokes this time. Role reversal as he gets his revenge. And a very aggressive setup here from the Heroic side. One of the downsides of this kind of a hold is that obviously once you run out of utility, and you can tell Heroic already starting to run low, it's a bit of an issue actually getting out of these positions if you don't back out soon enough. Something that Immortals struggled a lot with, for instance. But well, nonetheless, it hasn't really been an issue that Navi runs into or have punished necessarily because they go towards so much towards this A bomb site.
I feel like it's the kind of positions that if you know you're against an eco, you know that Na'Vi have only pistols, no problem. But when you know they have a whole bunch of utility Molotovs, all it takes is for one Molotov to land on the likes of Tree or on the right-hand side alcove, and you're basically screwed.
Yeah.
Like, it's so easy for the Ts to just rip you to pieces at that stage. That's why they've pieced out already.
Yeah, smart decision from Heroic. And still, Navi not really committed. Edward's going to push up here in Archway, try to make his way in towards CT spawn, it seems. Yugi is aware of this, though. Does look like Navi wants to set up for that B split.
I know that Edward is lurking on the prowl. Oh, this could be horrible timing for Yugi, but still lands the shot. Justice, perhaps. You hate to see players get time like that, but he pulls it back somehow, some way. Flamey and Simple have control over B. And the bomb now planted in a solid position for Simple to be able to rotate from Banana. He's just looking straight down, unbeknownst to Na'Vi, though, all 3 remaining Heroic members coming from the CT side, which Flamey's about to find out firsthand. He's seen a glimpse of a shoulder peeking round in ruins, and the call will come to Simple. I need some help. I need to show yourself, but Flamey, he doesn't need help after all. He's going to pick up 2 frags. It's all down to the AWPers. Yugi against Simple. The bomb is planted for Simple, and he will oblige with a frag. And Na'Vi with another round now.
Tough retake for Heroic, even though they have the man advantage, don't really have any utility to work with. 1 flash was all they had. Definitely could have made a case for whoever's coming in from Heroic through main. Probably should have had the drop on Flamey here, but just really, really solid shooting from the Russian player. Pretty much wins that round single-handedly. Gets, you know, even clears out the B bomb site initially with those 2 frags. So definitely seeing a bit of a new look in Na'Vi right now. Edward and Flamey doing a lot of the heavy lifting.
Oh, those nades doing so much damage, and Edward will finish off what he started earlier with a headshot onto Modi, partially through the wall of Banana. So already all those nades that Heroic decided to dip into and invest in haven't really paid out for too much, but Nico's Eagle will. Gets Molotoved and then just shot straight up in the backside. Didn't really have too many choices there.
They didn't. Na'Vi, though, still, with all that's going on around the map, really passive approach. This has kind of been their trademark for so many years. Remains to be seen where they want to take it. On Heroic's end, though, obviously you're just rocking pistols at this point, so you might have to get aggressive if you want to have a hope of actually winning this. Snappy makes that decision as well, but gets found out by Flamey. Now Yugi, sole man on that A-bomb site.
Yeah, pulls apart a Heroic. Ultimately, this is going to be a 1-on-4 for Yugi. We saw just what he was capable of doing yesterday in Overpass against Na'Vi with the Desert Eagle. He's in a position he could strike, he shall! Electronic headshot through Simple. And now the orb goes into his hands, but Flamey will not allow that cheeky clutch to come into fruition. It's now going to be down to S-Tag, and he's only got USP, 29 health on top of it. Pretty much as rough as it gets. Maybe a call as a weapon somewhere around in the apps area. I think Yugi realizes, hold on a second, a 1D to player in second mid. And S-Tag's going to peace out of there with the AK, but man, Yugi just for a second there, he started to believe.
Started to believe indeed. Not going to be enough though, but considering the investment, still a solid round for Heroic. But at this point, it's getting to the scenario where you actually just need rounds. Getting close doesn't really do it for you. But holding on to that AK is definitely going to be beneficial.
See there, the frags are pretty evenly dispersed between Na'Vi. It's not as if Simple's off on another tear or head and shoulders above the rest. It seems to be Edward actually that is pulling out some serious firepower. One of the players that went absent yesterday against Gambit.
Yeah, had a really rough go of it. Showing that he's still capable of having good performances. And so far though, Heroic not really able to match the level of Na'Vi. They will have a buy-up coming this time around. Not double ops, just a Colt on Snappy. But full utility, so definitely enough to work with here. A bit of a cheeky run boost actually from Heroic, and it's got to pay out nicely.
Nice.
Extra style points there to Yugi and S-Tag as they do find Zeus. The thing is though, Heroic haven't been really able to do anything about the fact that they can deny Na'Vi banana control all they want. They're still having issues defending this A-bomb site, which is really what it comes down to.
It's true, so you can't really get carried away about them getting the first pick. And it was so important that Yugi did land that shot as well, because you can see that his legs were burning to the Molotov. He's down to 23. So it could have been all for naught, but as you say, you've got to capitalize here. If Heroic want to bounce back on this half and make it respectable, it has to start right here, right now. They've got to grab on top of this advantage that they've been given.
We're going to see the two app attendees, which is Flamey and Edward, move away from their usual spots. I think we can just gonna fire a couple of shots up into mid to kind of announce some presence from Navi's end there. It does seem like it's going to be execute, and Heroic are very well set up for this. This is like one of the setups that Gambit used a lot towards the end of their CT halves, where they started finding rounds versus Na'Vi. That op in the back of sight, find the initial kills, and Na'Vi didn't really seem to have any flashes for it. Yugi though, a little bit out of position.
Forced out with the flashes and the Molotovs that were landing. S-Tag's able to just bide his time and wait to strike. But he is now once again the last line of defense. That flashbang is going to destroy them. And it came from the CT side, and it nearly was the S-Tag show here in round 12. There isn't enough time for the bomb to go down. Simple knows it. He's going to trade across to his AK, see if he can do some damage. But the round is going to go the way of Heroic. A valiant attempt from S-Tag, and Yugi on the site will get them another one. But it's got to be the first of many.
Simple dying after time. Normally that would be a massive get for a CT side, but with how much money there is on the side of Na'Vi, it's not really going to phase them at all. But again, you see, this is the same position that we saw, I think both Adren and Mo actually used versus Na'Vi whenever we saw these late round executions onto the bomb site. And Na'Vi doesn't really have any flashes that actually covered that specific area. You saw when Yugi was kind of caught basically between the two pillars, he did get flashed, but as soon as he moves in there, he's pretty much in a safe spot. So that could be a bit of a crutch here.
And it seemed as well the flashbang was more of a glancing blow. He wasn't fully flashed, so it was only a matter of milliseconds.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a huge issue for him. S-Tag got completely flashed out, but because Yugi was okay, they could bide their time and then come back stronger.
Exactly, because the way that that setup works is that the Opera is going to be first contact. So he's going to draw all the focus, which again, as we saw, did allow S-Tag to pick up two crucial frags. Obviously, with the help of the perfect flash into pool there. Still, it's the right approach to have. Na'Vi, though, making their ways up arch once more through the flash. Simple finds Snappy. So already the danger of a B split has to be in the back of the head of Heroic, but it does seem like Na'Vi are very content with just continuing on with the pressure towards A.
Nico getting flashed a couple of times with his teammate of Modi in pit, still able to come out with a frag, but Flamey with a double spray down. Huge entries, and Heroic, who finally start to get some momentum, have been put in their place once more. And because the economy's been reset entirely, Well, we're back to our old standing of the good old 4v2 save over on the B side.
Good usage of the utility though from Navi's, and they're pretty much making the pit position impossible to hold really. The one, I think it was Snappy, who was the one player who was meant to hold apps there. Just can't do anything at all with the fire, pretty much just surrounding him. And that obviously puts Nico in an impossible state afterwards. So even though he fends off the first attacker from Arch, just gets wrapped around by Flamey.
So, Yugi and Edward both joint at the top of the scoreboard, which is going to be quite disappointing for Yugi, considering that even though he's tied, his team is anything but. They're 9-4 behind on the CT side of Inferno. What I will say, though, maybe for a little bit of positivity, is that Na'Vi and Gambit both had far better T-halves than CT-halves yesterday. I mean, I think it was 5-10 in regulation that both teams went. They only got 5 rounds on CT, so maybe there's a little bit to look in there for Heroic, thinking that, okay, if we can get ourselves sort of 10-5, 9-6, somewhere around there, we can still bring this back. Yeah, not completely lost just yet.
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable approach to it. Then again, though, you would have liked to seen Heroic make more adaptations, especially this being their 3rd tactical pause. You kind of have to wonder what they're actually talking about, what they think is going wrong in a lot of these setups that they're doing. And I think, again, just being more intrusive towards the apps area while Na'Vi are doing their default is probably the way to go. We saw Doja having a lot of success with that, actually, once he started doing that in overtime for Gambit. Finding that one pickup on either Edward or Flamey to alleviate pressure.
He was constantly pushing the apps yesterday and got so much success with it. Edward's going to be found wanting and picked off. It's important now that they can hold on. The Molotov's starting to burn away the CTs, but it is going to be a 4-on-2, making a 3-on-2. Flamey's nade will find Snappy. Oh, Yugi just a second away from seeing a player peek him. Unfortunate, but he has managed to back away to the site. Again, he's trying to wait for the cavalry to arrive. Molotov's going to be landing right next to him, has to move back out into a vulnerable position, and Flamey will oblige with a frag. This would be a nightmare if Heroic lost this. It was looking so good with their triple stack on Banana. Modi's been smoked down. He has to wait quite a while before Nico can traipse through up Banana.
The problem is there's no flashes really here to enter. The benefit, or the one positive, is that bomb hasn't gone down yet. So there's still room for people to close the range here.
And there's Flamey with the frag in him out, looking as though this is going to go the way of Na'Vi. A 2-on-4 goes the way of the T's. And that is a slap to the face of Heroic after a tactical pause.
A complete reset going into the last round of the first half, so they're not going to have much weaponry or utility to work with going into this. And we did see them find success with Seagulls in the previous round, so there still might be hope here.
I guess the issue as well, we were discussing this before, that A seemed to be the vulnerability. And then, of course, the round after the tactical pause, Na'Vi just pushed straight up Banana and ripped them to pieces up there. Zeus has been tagged down to around half of his health, but other than that, Na'Vi are good to go. There again, of course, is a distinct lack of utility on the side of Heroic. Already tossed out most of it. Gonna go for the peak. Yugi not gonna get anything done, but Estetag will pick up from where he left off, only for a few more minutes, or seconds in this case, before Simple gets rid of him.
This time, Edward not going to get caught out by coming through apps, and Flamey up the stairs to find Modi as he's busy firing off bullets. Snappy does find electronic though, but still remains Nico as the one survivor on Heroic side as of right now, and he's over towards Zay. That B-bomb side is completely open, but yet again, we don't see Na'Vi making any sort of hasty decisions as Flamey closes out the half. Well, very different look from Na'Vi in terms of who's performing this time around. Flamey and Edward definitely making their mark on the first half. Simple, obviously, not falling short either. 12 frags on him, but wasn't necessarily the same Simple show as we saw yesterday.
Yeah, I don't think he's necessarily needed to have been that same caliber, because he has got a lot more support. He's got Edward and Flamey that have been right there with him. They typically were getting more kills as well on the CT side. So the fact that they are right up there, I think there's 3 players above 10 frags right now for Na'Vi, pardon me. He's just not as required to frag out and just pick up a bunch of entries like he was yesterday. Yeah. Now, on the CT side, again, I'm kind of curious to see if we're going to see a different setup from Na'Vi, a different play style. It was definitely vulnerable yesterday when they played against Gambit.
Yeah, I guess over the course of the entire game, we did pretty much see every setup possible and imaginable from Na'Vi. Eventually, we saw passive holds on B. We saw extreme aggression as well once we got into OT. But I'm curious to see what Heroic has planned for this T-side, because obviously they need to get going right off the bat.
Yeah, I mean, this pistol, again, say it so often, but you know, 11-4 second pistol is everything to Heroic. If they lose this, they could realistically be looking at a 14-4 deficit, in which case it's probably a bridge too far.
We say that, but it was 13-5 in favor of Na'Vi versus Gambit as well.
That is true. That is very true. I would say, though, that Gambit have a few more power plays in their back pocket than Heroic maybe do, though.
I think that's fair. Well, fair bit of utility on the side of Heroic here. 2 smokes, 2 flashes, and AGs. Another quick tempo up Banana here, so they might just go for the immediate power play towards Banana here. Entire team is stuck in the same position, so no map control gained really, and you can see already Zeus with the aggressive move down mid.
The bulk of the defense is over on B. You'd expect that RV will be poised to repel as many of these players as possible. Simple, just playing possum actually baits Edward. No one's going to know exactly where he's going to be coming from now. He's in that sort of scary area where he could just go absolutely ham, and he's already picked up 2. Eshetag's can get the bomb planted, but does it even matter? 3 CT swarming him, and that's one of the few moments where I'm totally on board with the bait.
Yeah, just pretty much gave up Play Me. Well, first gave up Edward and then gave up Play Me. But obviously, the Na'Vi players have the information they need. He can also deny any sort of bomb plant and create complete chaos in the ranks of Heroic, and does so very well. So easy pistol round going the way of Na'Vi, and you could tell that they had a good hunch of what was going on early on. Zeus was already making his way down mid before Heroic have even committed to the execution. So rotations were in time, and Na'Vi get off to a flawless start.
I mean, having the presence of mind not to peek originally is one thing, but his aim was another. Edward looked like Snappy had some kind of trampoline for a second there, the way he died. Flew into the air. Edward, in the meanwhile, is able to reposition. Picks up a second. Won't be getting a third, but Flamey's there to pick up the pieces. This is looking all too easy for Na'Vi now. Only the one frag that went against Simple. Other than that, clear sailing.
Very much so. Heroic more or less seeming like they want to just get these Seeker rounds over with and get some guns in their hands. They did get a bomb plant and pistol. We have to keep that in mind. So we might be seeing, well, we could have seen a bit of a buy, but obviously they invested in that previous round a bit too heavily and didn't get anything for it. So Na'Vi most likely looking at 14 rounds here unless we see something quite out of the ordinary. 5 Glocks normally not what gains you or gets you rounds.
Simple will be coming down towards the ramp. You can see that there is a tower of terrorists waiting for them. It nearly got sticky, though, for Heroic as they lined up for Simple, who's picked up 3. Snappy is going to find himself Zeus with an MP7. And that nightmarish position does now befall upon Heroic. 14-4. They have a long, long way to climb.
Really do. And obviously with that economy not being optimal, no op on Yugi. Obviously a very different story to play with an op on the T side of Inferno than the CT side. But here we go. This is what they have to work with. They do get a fair bit of utility, lots of smokes, 2 Molotovs as well. So the opportunities for execution is definitely there, but the problem is going to be actually gaining map control. For instance, fighting for Banana is not something you can actually expend a ton of utility to do. So Yugi actually picks up Simple here early in mid as he tries to be aggressive. And that might be the opening that they want. You can see the full rotation coming in from Na'Vi as well. Instead of having that 3-man setup towards B, 2 people immediately evacuate the area. It leaves Edward alone here.
Yeah, this incredibly strong angle. The flashbang designed to neutralize that very spot. And now that Edward is no longer with us, the B site is very much open for business. Zeus going to be taking point for his team. He is by himself. Meanwhile, Flamey's going to see confrontation. Nico takes him down from underpass. And I like that Na'Vi have decided, okay, let's just back off. Let's try and save these weapons, but it's probably not going to happen, at least not for Electronic. He's throwing away the AWP, or at least trying to. He's like, what the hell? Invisible walls? Hello? Oh, Valve, please?
And
It's so
absolutely
brutal.
shafted.
And they're going to get the AWP as well. Oh my god, I feel so bad for Zeus.
That is unfortunate. That's like one of the very few points in the map where you can't throw it out, which is kind of funky considering
What even is that? Come on. He even tried over the APC. You could see he wanted to throw it on this little roof, and then Snappy was like, nope, we'll have that up, thank you.
A for effort, though, Zeus. I mean, the idea is correct. The likelihood of him surviving in that kind of a scenario is very unlikely, so you don't want to give Yugi free op, but that is the case, though. Now, Heroic start what potentially could be their comeback. As Yugi, once again, finds the opening frag, this time onto Flamey. So the aggressive peek's not working out as of right now for Na'Vi.
Again, CT side had its weaknesses, had its vulnerabilities yesterday. You know, shifting things up a little bit though, trying to boost their way into a simple pick, but he couldn't find anything. And they felt like that position was too hot to handle for the time being. So they're going to just back away, use a different angle. Simple needs to be careful here though. If a flashbang comes over, and you've already seen they like to flash into peaks, and that's exactly what's happened. He nearly did get himself picked off, which would probably be this round over. Instead though, they go back towards the back of the site.
Na'Vi really fond of using this boost. Back of new boxes here. Very exposed position though. It's pretty much a one-off. You hope to get the first frag on whoever's aggressing in and then drop back. Hopefully there won't be a Molotov greeting you as you land. Banana control is gained for Heroic, so the execute is imminent.
Simple in shadow. Gonna miss that first shot, may cost him his life. Edwards gonna go for one. There's no Molotovs at the back of the site. Edwards able to open up with 3 kills and make it a 4th to boot. And Modi scratching his head like, guys, come on now. What am I supposed to do with this? 10 seconds. Edward on for the ace. He doesn't even have to get the kill. There's just no time left anymore. Modi wants to get the hell out of there with an AWP, and that has to be Heroic's round. If they want any chance of beating Na'Vi, those are the kind of rounds you've got to win.
I mean, if you're playing against Na'Vi, yeah, there's always that fear in the back of your head that you might run into just super simple, who just doesn't die, or if he does, drags 3 people with him as he falls. This time it's Edward just showing up massively, but it's been easily the MVP of Na'Vi so far this game, and you can just tell the control he has there as he lays enemies to the ground. The last timeout being taken by Heroic.
Yeah, 10 rounds in a row required if they want to take us to overtime, which I'm sure would send shivers down Na'Vi's spine if that were to happen.
Definitely not a welcome situation for them. They have some nightmares from yesterday.
But let's be real, the way that Na'Vi are playing, I mean, this surely is over.
It does look very grim for Heroic, especially because it's not just simple doing all the heavy lifting for Na'Vi right now. Both Flamey and Edward have definitely shown up for this first match. See Edward topping the charts at 21 frags. Flamey at 19. I have to consider that this round started off, or the last round started off with Heroic getting the opening pick as well. So that's a luxury you're not always going to have. This time, much more passive approach in mid as well from Na'Vi. So you're not going to give up any early duels to Yugi. Once more. Seeing the same boost happening in Banana for a quick second before they fade off. But Heroic this time around, more interested in grabbing control over apartments initially.
I mean, the thing is, well, that stats often don't paint the full picture. Edward has got so many impactful kills. I mean, the last one he gets 4 by himself at the back of new boxes. In previous rounds, he's been getting entries when they're on the T-half. This guy's been doing it all. Incredibly versatile today.
Yeah, pretty much single-handedly won them the pistol round as well to start the game off.
Simple is going to see action momentarily.
Going to see the same flash. Nope.
Oh, I think he did actually get attacked, though, through the wall. Both Modi and Snappy are hurting.
My spider senses were tingling, decides to get out of dodge early on and even leaves a couple of the Heroic members tagged up.
I think he may have just winged Snappy. I think Modi was already tagged earlier from a nade or just the early confrontation. The firefight. Simple's going to get S-Attack, who just walks around the corner. There's no flashes or smokes preceding him. The easiest of kills that Simple could ask for.
Just very optimistic, and now their hands are forced. Going to have to commit to this A-bomb site. So they work their way up quad, but look at the crossfire Navi set up.
Oh yeah, this should be done. This should be the map over. And Electronic is not disappointing with 2. He's not